With rapid digital transformation, the need for proper cybersecurity has become a growing concern. And amidst the COVID 19 remote working chaos, the need for stronger cybersecurity is now more than ever. Businesses are moving to the cloud, adopting disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence to automate their processes. But it's not just organizations who are employing modern technology. Hackers and cybercriminals are also finding new ways to use modern technology to break into such security patches. To safeguard organizations' intellectual assets online and in the cloud, cybersecurity companies help onboard the best practices. To get more insights on that, I'm Apurva from Analytics Insight in conversation with Josefa Motiwala, Director of Systems Engineering in India and SARC at Palo Alto Networks, the global cybersecurity leader. Welcome, Josefa. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Apurva. Great to be here and look forward to our chat. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So let's begin this podcast with you giving us a brief about the company, Palo Alto Networks, and its specializations and the services it offers.
Yeah, sure. So at the very outset, Palo Alto Networks is a global cybersecurity leader, right? And we are at the forefront of shaping this entire cloud-centric future of companies or companies who are on the road to digital transformation, using all the way in terms of the people and organization operate. They're disrupting that, and we are right at the center of it. We started our journey. It was founded around 14 years back, and 12 years back we started acquiring customers. And all throughout, I think we've been driven by our vision, which is pretty consistent. And our vision is a world where each day is safer and more secure than the one before. Right? It encapsulates. It's the core of everything we do. Every employee of Palo Alto imbibes this, whether irrespective of which department you are, whether you're in forensics, engineering, support, sales. This is what drives us on our day-to-day activity. This is what drives us towards our day-to-day innovation. So if you look at the track record, I think having a company which is as nascent as, if in today's time we say, as young as 12 years old, going from a startup to being a global security leader, a number one company in the world, is quite an exciting journey. And I think we feel that we are just beginning, and there's lots to achieve.
Right. So, as you said, the vision is to secure the world every day and take companies forward with a cloud-centric future. So, with what mission was the company set up? Is it similar to the vision, or was there like a much more broader perspective when it all started?
Yeah, great. So our mission has always been to be the cybersecurity partner of choice, right?
Okay.
Protecting our digital way of life. This is as simple as that, right? So if you look at what has happened, and case in point is, look at the disruption that has happened in the last 2 years alone, right? When we faced with this pandemic, digital transformation became the way of life, and you highlighted in your opening address, people figured out that that transformation is not something that they can avoid any longer or delay it any longer. It just accelerated. So people latched on to three things, I think, right? One is take advantage of these remote connectivity which was there from a productivity perspective. Take advantage of cloud, which is giving the agility and the economies of scale, right, to immediately start the digital transformation journey, and take advantage of advanced techniques like AI/ML to drive decision making. And this combination of network, cloud, AI/ML really came together, we've seen in the last couple of years, in driving some really great outcomes touching the end consumer, whether it in terms of education, whether in terms of healthcare and stuff like that, right? So in Palo Alto, driven by the mission, right, our goal was just simplified. We wanted to be that partner of choice who could protect against or protect all users across all applications that the user is accessing, right? Protect all the data that is being generated by this application, across any form of network that they reach out to, whether you're working from home or in office or in data center, right? That perimeter is no longer there. Across any devices, you could be using your official or managed device or unmanaged device. But the secret sauce here was the right context, right? So we wanted to be, or we aspire to secure all users, application, data, network, and devices with a comprehensive context at all times across all locations.
Great. So, in your company's quest to be the partner of choice for everything cybersecurity across, breaking all the walls that were in between, what was, your role to get this started, to make this happen, and to take Palo Alto Networks to the place where it is now?
Yeah, great. So there are three, when we look at my journey over the last 2 decades, there are three things I'm really, really passionate about. And those three things came to the fore in my journey in Palo Alto as well. I'm really, really passionate about data. This is a data-driven world, right? So a well-managed data, a well-secured data becomes and the analogy I like to put is data is like blood, right? It is flowing through all your vital organs and supplying and giving it going, right? So I'm very, very passionate about data, and you don't realize the value of it till you start losing it, right? So I'm very passionate about data. I'm very passionate about my role or my function area, which is pre-sales. And pre-sales is essentially technology sales, right? Which means we are working very, very closely with the customers, me and my team, understanding their business challenges or business outcomes, IT requirements, the transformation journey, and aligning solutions closer. So pre-sales is probably the fulcrum of any technology company. So that's the second area I'm really passionate about. And the third area I'm really passionate about is leadership, right? Because it takes the right level of empathy, motivation, vision to kind of put all of these things together, the technology, the people, the process, and kind of get the right mix going and put the best front out in front of the customer. So my key areas or my passion kind of rubs very well with which Palo Alto as a company stands. We are at the cusp of solving all the right problems for our customers. We have the best of breed technology. We are making it very, very simple for our customers to consume, and my endeavor is to use my leadership capabilities, use my teams or improve my team's technical prowess, push more and more about the data, and get that thing going out there. And I think it's resonating well with the end customers. If you look at the Indian landscape, I think Palo Alto has become one of those aspirational brands to be associated.
Right. Your analogy about data being like the blood in our body is spot on. And clearly, your passion is charging the teams at Palo Alto Networks to simplify products for all its users. So, in that sense, how is the company and all of its products and solutions benefiting the clients in like a broader spectrum? Like, how is the company contributing to the entire cybersecurity industry at this point?
I think that's a great question, and let's look at it from this perspective, right? Every company in today's world, you pick up any company, it's a technology company. Let's face it. You pick up a bank, it's no longer a financial company, it's a technology company.
Right.
You pick up a telecom, you pick up a consumer service. Look at which could be a cab service that you're selling, or your grocery shops, the e-commerce digital side. Everything is become a technology company, correct? Number one.
Right.
With that in mind, which means as a business owner, I'm pushing all kind of digital transformation initiatives. It could be cloud native, it could be traditional apps, but it's all about driving this disruption or taking that company as a technology forefront and making that competitive differentiator. In this journey, which a business owner is taking, it's very, very imperative and it's very, very imminent that on this journey where you need to start when you're generating data, and going by my last example, you need to start protecting this digital way of life. and the
Right, correct.
expectation of that business owner from the cybersecurity owners, or it could be the IT team, the CISO, or vendors like us. Hey, come and help us make this journey a lot more less complex, right? While we go into this journey, ensure that you are barring away all the complexity. Ensure that you're protecting all our assets, all our data, all our people in a very, very cost-effective way, and also help drive compliance, if I may say so. Which is a very, very at the forefront of conversation these days, because sovereignty rules over, right? Which data should be lying where and how you should treat the person's data. So these are the expectation of business owner, and that's where companies like Palo Alto step up. And I would use the word partner with our customers, right? Our customers, CISO and CIOs, in this digital transformation journey, so that they look ahead full steam while we protect the ecosystem. Make sense?
Yeah, totally. And as you rightfully said, every company in this day and age is a tech company because of disruptive technologies coming in and this entire digital transformation thing happening at an accelerating rate. And that is
Yeah,
where cybersecurity becomes so imperative, because everything needs to be protected right now at this point.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so for that, do you think that is the way, Palo Alto is innovating, providing simplified products, cybersecurity products to its customers, or there are other innovations involved that makes Palo Alto the global leader of
Hmm.
cybersecurity services that it is now?
No, great question. And I think this is where it differentiates the wheat from the chaff, and why the Palo Alto story is resonating. I'll tell you why. See,
Yeah.
in traditional cybersecurity, the approach has always been you hit an issue, and you look at a best of breed product or some disruptive company to come and solve that issue, right? It started with, let's say, protecting your endpoints against malware attacks, or your applications, or your network, everywhere in that journey, whichever area you pick up in cloud for now, for example, as the industry hit an impediment, an attack vector emerged,
Mhm.
people resorted to picking up a tool and try to solve that. Now, what has happened in this is it has become a museum of sort. So you have any typical tech company would have n number of cybersecurity tools, all working in silos,
Right.
right? Trying to solve that particular problem. And Palo Alto took a step back and said, that's not going to help. Why? Because you're just kind of creating more fragmented architectures, or products or solutions which are not talking to each other. And the sum total of this whole protection is not 1 + 1 = 3, but maybe less, far less than 2. So we took a step back and we said, let's take a platform approach. Let's try and help the customer by ensuring that all those cybersecurity needs, all those solutions, we will do it for you in an integrated way. So rather than you trying to buy the best of breed and integrating it and solving, we will come as an integrated approach. So if you look at our journey, Purva, we have either made the best in class product in that segment, whether it's the next gen firewall, or we have acquired company who are a best in class in that field, right? Whether it's cloud, whether it's endpoint, or SOC automation. So we have
Right.
acquired these, and we are integrating. So the customer, from a customer's perspective, gets the best out of these already integrated. We are also automating a lot of stuff from the customer's behalf. Cybersecurity is all about operations also, right? It's just not about
Yes.
day zero, but it's about day zero plus one and n. So we are
Yes.
also automating a lot of stuff on that side. And the third element that Palo Alto brings in is simplification. And I think you also touched that, right?
Right.
If I have a best of breed product, if I have automated a lot of stuff, but if I'm complex to use, it serves no purpose, right? So I should be
Absolutely. Yes.
simple to achieve. I should be simple to, I would even say one step ahead. I would be simple to procure, simple to implement, simple to operate, and get the benefit out. So does it make sense? Where we are, what we are?
Absolutely, yes. I feel the more complicated it's just life, right? The more complicated things
Yeah,
get, the more time consuming they become to even understand
yeah,
and take it
absolutely.
forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, for Palo Alto to be
Hmm.
different from traditional cybersecurity companies and
Hmm.
solve problems with an integrated approach,
Hmm.
how are disruptive technologies playing a major role?
So disruptive technologies, I would put when you say the moment you say disruptive technologies, the first thing which comes to mind is, for example, AI and ML, correct?
Okay.
And that's just one set of disruptive technologies coming in, and that has a role in every aspect of cybersecurity. The reason I'm
Right.
saying this, and I think you touched upon in your opening brief, is the attack vectors are no longer relying on simple tools. Even they are using sophisticated tools, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So AI/ML, from a cybersecurity perspective, plays two roles, two very, very significant roles. One, in protecting against these adversaries in a far more a far more machine learning based perspective. You can't have human dependencies, so you have to have a machine learning powered engine, which is where I think we were the pioneer in getting ML powered our next gen firewall in the network perimeter. And the whole purpose of that engine, machine learning engine, is to run on the fly, adapt, evolve, and catch this new gen attacks, right? You customers can't do it without this. You have to have an ML powered engine sitting on your on your network parameter, or whichever device you talk of, whichever security component that you're dealing with. You have to have an ML powered engine protecting you against these kind of adversaries. So that's one area. The other area is on the operations side of stuff. What happens when the attack happens, or how soon can you detect it? How soon can you respond to it? That area also needs a lot of AI driven analytics to help you manage that detection and response in a much more proactive way. So I think these kind of disruptive technologies are going to define the way ahead from a cybersecurity perspective.
Right. So, as you said, artificial intelligence and machine learning is in every aspect of cybersecurity, be it,
Mm-hmm.
via machine learning powered engines or artificial intelligence analysis for threat detection. So, from
Mm-hmm.
that perspective, what is your point of view on the current scenario of the cybersecurity industry? Like, is it completely dominated by all these disruptive technologies, or do you see the scope for something new to come in?
See, the scope, the thing with cybersecurity is, uh, the new aspect will always come in terms of how can anybody handle this volume of data, or the volume of devices that. So let me take a step back where I'm coming from. When the pandemic hit, right, what happened is we all rushed to work from home, correct? And there was a surge in terms of how do you ensure that all organizations get the same level of productivity without compromising on security. But the fact is, adversaries took advantage of this. If you see the recent statistics, and especially in the last year perspective, there was almost, if I'm not wrong, close to 300% rise in terms of the attack vectors and stuff like what happened during the pandemic when this rush happened, right? We also look at the cloud adoption side of stuff, all right? That itself has also uh, risen up close to 80% or more in terms of the adoption rate and stuff. When you look at all of these, what you're saying is the number of attack surface for an attacker has increased exponentially, right? So there is more volume of data out there, more number of devices out there, and more number of applications who are kind of no longer restricted to your well protected data center or your users within your office, right? It's all out there. So the point here is this volume and scale needs to be addressed in a far more disruptive way, a far more automated way, going ahead, and any and all companies are endeavoring in terms of how do you drive more and more, as I said, machine power learning based powered approaches. Also in terms of ensuring that how do you separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of the thousands and thousands of alerts which gets generated because of this volume being increased and the devices and applications all over the place. How do you ensure that all of that is made sense at the right place at the right time, giving a very, very simplified view to that cybersec analysis on the ground. So all the companies, including us, are in the endeavor to kind of get this much more in control and much more, and it always be a cat and mouse game, right? So our endeavor is to be at the proactive front rather than reacting to stuff. We want our customers to be far more proactive against these new age threats.
Right. So when Palo Alto Networks had an influx of data during the pandemic, and you also mentioned about the adversaries that hit the company during the beginning of the pandemic, can you tell our listeners what were some of the adversaries that you're talking about?
Yeah. So the threat landscape. We need to look at this in two aspects, I feel. One is the threat landscape, what has happened, as I said, and the kind of the nature of threats, right? So what the threat landscape look like now, as I said, driven by in the last 2 years, is the number of sheer number of endpoint devices or unmanaged devices which has gone up, right? So if I have to give you one number, it is almost a 3x increase in the number of endpoints that we are envisaging by 2023. Correct. So that is what it tells us, is that the attack surface has grown dramatically, and because of working from home, a lot of companies' strategic data might end up being on these endpoints.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So that's one threat landscape. The other one, let's look at this rapid cloud deployments, right? Which I told you, right? People are jumping on and driving, and cloud is at the forefront of driving this digital transformation with maybe cloud native applications, or they are using the traditional application and lifting it lock, stock, and barrel to cloud. What interestingly has happened is the traditional cybersecurity approach are no longer applicable to cloud, and there is a huge chasm which is left between cloud adoption and the level of cloud protection that people are putting in place.
Right.
Almost 43% struggle to deliver that consistent security across their data centers and the cloud. And Apurva, you would agree, right? It will never be one cloud. It will always be a multi-cloud scenario, right?
Yeah. Yes. Of course. Yes.
So that's the second threat landscape. The third, I think we already discussed, which which is scary, is the cyber criminals are just not basic cyber criminals. They're far more advanced.
Right.
So they are taking advantage of all kind of advanced technologies. And we have seen an unprecedented rise in increasing in phishing attacks, that's been experienced post the coronavirus. So this is the threat, I would say, landscape, or the way it is changing. Now let's look at the threats. There also I've seen an interesting evolution happening, right? It was in the first case, it was in the earlier days, it was all about a college going kid or a hacker just trying to get infrastructure down. His kick in life was to get a website down or penetrate your infra, do a DDoS attack and ensure that your businesses are down, right? That was his kick in life. Then it slowly moved to all about data. As data became lifeline, how do I get control of this sensitive data, right? So which means I need to infiltrate your network. I need to catch hold of this sensitive data. It could be your Aadhaar, your credit card. And how do I exfiltrate and sell this in the market, in the dark market? And this surpassed even the international drug trade at one point, right? It's that dangerous. So that was the next wave of attack, where it was just not about keeping bad things out. It was all about how do I keep good things in, right? And that's where you will see a lot of these regulations and compliance coming in. So that's the next wave of threats came in, which were targeted to the data, right? Sensitive data. Now, then the third phase was people realize, hey, I still need to get in, take control of this data, get it out and sell. Why not I simplify this? I just get in, I take control of the data and I encrypt it and I keep the key to myself. And you want your data back, pay me in cryptocurrency, and I'll give you the key back and you're done with. So that's where the rise of ransomware started happening. Right?
Okay.
It was because it was so easy. I didn't have to worry about exfiltrating. I can exfiltrate. That's another question. But I can just simply go in, lock it. You want the key, you pay me. Right. So that's the next. That I would say is the third wave of threats that started coming in. Fourth is now what we're seeing. The fourth wave is increasingly we are seeing is the attackers are simply not even bothered about your data. They just want your resources, to use your resources, and especially in the cloud where everything is I would say on the tap. It's like your electricity, right? The resources come up and all they're saying is they will use your resources and mine cryptocurrency. So this is called as cryptojacking. So
Yes,
you're not even aware of it, and people are using your resources. You are paying for the electricity tab and for all the time, shenanigans, and they are taking advantage of it, mining money and making themselves richer. So I just told you two aspects: the threat landscape and the type of threats. Right, both have been changing really, really rapidly.
This just reiterates the point that what a wicked world we live in.
Absolutely.
And so because cyber attackers are getting smarter by the day and innovating in their own way to find new ways to attack systems, how do you see the future of the company and the industry? Like, what is in the future? What does the future hold for the cybersecurity industry and, as a result for the company?
I think the future of cybersecurity it's going to get interesting. Why I'm saying this is because the industries of tomorrow are not going to just have simple devices. I wouldn't say simple devices, but traditional devices like an endpoint or an application or a cloud workload and stuff. The future is all about Internet of Things, right? So your number of devices which are going to hook up to the internet in every sphere of life, starting with healthcare, for example, right? The kind of medical devices that is going to come in, which are smart devices, and all that being bought in to kind of further the healthcare system, device or poses, I would say, the largest security risk going ahead. So IoT, Internet of Things, or what we call as of things, Internet of Other Things, and anything which is getting hooked up, your cameras, your CCTV feed, your access devices, your physical entry mechanisms, your and when you look at your floor shop, your assembly lines, the factories, to the healthcare, the medical devices, the CT scan device, the heart rate machines, whatever you want to call that, right? Everything is going to be hooked up. We'll have an IP, and the number of sheer volume of these devices is going to go up. So we need to be, the cybersecurity industry needs to be at the forefront, take security bolt on, and be at the forefront of not only, I would say, identifying what devices is this, right? Rather than leaving on to the customer, I should be in a position to say, yep, this is a camera, this is a printer, this is a CT scan machine. Understand the threats associated with these, and at the outward go, have policies in place without your customers needing to invest a lot more things or trying to reskill their staff, be able to protect this out of the box. So this is one area I'm very, very passionate about, and we as a company feel that we need to be at the forefront. We have made some very, very interesting acquisitions here. and it's paying and it's resonating extremely well with our customers, right? So Internet of Things is one. Let's look at the other aspect. The second aspect I feel is cloud. And remember, I told you that when you're putting a workload to cloud, the traditional ways of protecting or applying cybersecurity doesn't work here. For a simple reason, is you need to start the journey as early as when you're developing the code, and what you would have heard the term shift left. As you're developing the code in the cloud using the infrastructure and stuff, you need to start protecting and applying those cybersecurity policies right at that time, rather than leaving it as an afterthought. The code being developed, it being operational, build, operate, run, as we call it, right? And then the cybersecurity team coming in and figuring out loops. It's water under the bridge. So far more proactive bolt-on approach on cloud native security, a very, very different world. So that's another area that the industry is moving towards, and we are looking at it, and we are at the forefront there. And the third area, as I said earlier, is your security operations center, your SOC. End of the day, right? You're putting all these best of breed cybersecurity products, whether it's in the cloud, IoT, network, work from home. How do you ensure that your operation center, your security operations center, is equipped with far more automated, orchestrated runbooks to equip them to respond better? So these three areas are what I look at going ahead. Does it make sense, Apurva?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on about, the industry. The knowledge that you have is very, it's very vast that you can identify the future trends now itself. And as you said, the industries of tomorrow are IoT. And now we have a lot of insight about the cybersecurity industries, how threats keep getting innovative, and how it's crucial for companies to bridge the gap between technology adoption and technology protection. Right?
Correct. Absolutely. Well
Yeah.
put.
So with that said, thank you so much, Josefa, for joining us today for this very fruitful podcast. Coming from you that, cybersecurity is again imperative even in the future. It's only going to become a more integral part of every company. And, I hope companies, are ready to accept the fact that they need to set aside, a lot of, brainstorming and a lot of brainwidth to, incorporate a lot of cybersecurity solutions that are apt for their industries and for their business. And that is where companies, like yours, like Palo Alto Networks, come into use and makes this entire process really simple and less complicated for everyone to just quickly go ahead and just, secure all their intellectual assets with.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's well summarized.
Thank you so much, Josefa, once again for joining us. And I hope you have a great day ahead. And I hope to see a lot of, innovative services coming in the future from Palo Alto Networks. Thank you so much for joining us.